after heat and all kind of PB blaster. Get this tricep. Y'all just needed my muscles. Oh, did it slip off?
No, you're still good. Okay, there it is.
Hey, what's up everybody? LandWithLMR.com. Got a little shop day for you today. We're gonna be working on Aiden's 2015 Mustang GT. Really good LMR employee force. Works out in the warehouse. He's had this car about 8 months, give or take at the time of this video. Starting to dream up a list of modifications already, but some of the first things he wanted to tackle was a clutch setup, hydraulic clutch line, stainless steel, and then a Barton Hybrid 3 shifter. So we're gonna kind of take you along for the ride, show you some of the stuff related to putting a clutch or swapping a clutch in an S550 car, and then touching base on some of the points during the Barton Hybrid 3 short throw shifter install. That's a pretty trick piece, by the way. You open the box up and you hold it, you got all the billet aluminum and things. It's definitely some eye candy. Too bad it's stuffed up underneath the car. So we're gonna get the car inside and get to wrenching. Y'all enjoy. So kind of kick things off, we weren't really off to a good start at all. One of the nuts for the shorty header to mid-pipe kind of gave us a fight. Had to get some PB blaster on it. A multiple wobble setup, kind of a crazy contraption, but we got it broke free. All right, we finally got this upper mid-pipe nut. After heat and all kind of PB blaster. Get this tricep. Y'all just needed my muscles. Yeah, get this. Oh, did it slip off?
No, you're still good. Okay, there it is.
If you run into that scenario, you could find that you remove the battery in the battery tray to have a clear shot, but know that you're opening up another can of worms, because I've seen where battery tray bolts could be completely rusted. There's no bolt head, so now you gotta have a bolt extractor to get that bolt out. It's usually always something when it comes to this stuff. Hubbard's been rocking and rolling on this thing. We've kind of got everything apart. Kind of picking up with the stock unit that was in there. Aiden didn't know really what he had. He said it was chattering in reverse, I believe is what his symptoms were. So when we got everything pulled out, we noticed somebody had already been there before. It appeared to be a center force flywheel. Some type of pressure plate. Dakin, I think, is a subsidy of Exidy. I don't know. You can start rabbit holing this stuff on Google. But it was a dual friction. Clutch disc had like a kind of heavy duty puck style on the engine flywheel side, and then your more traditional, smaller organic material on the pressure plate side. But and it always kind of makes you wonder, you know, why did it need to be replaced in the first place? And even with what we were seeing, there was some pretty significant hot spots on that flywheel. Material was still there on the clutch disc, but it was probably on borrowed time at some point, depending on how Aiden's gonna drive the car. So kind of what we wanted to make note of, a few things, was one of the dowels that goes in the engine block, it got stuck or lodged into the bell housing of the transmission. So Hubbard just used an assortment of tools to get that out of the bell housing of the transmission and then back in the engine block. Okay, so on the outside of the transmission, you got the speed sensor over here. On the passenger side, Hubbard likes to remove this because if this thing starts rocking, speed sensor can get in contact with your transmission jack or support, and then you will risk breaking that thing off, and it is relatively fragile. One bolt comes right out, just have a plug ready to fill the hole. I know a lot of you watching, you think of this as a clutch swap, but Hubbard always goes into this with the mindset of, you know, how can I make it better than before? You know, what may be different than the car I worked on before? So it's always good to have a great set of eyes when doing this. While we were there, a pilot bearing is always a must, as well as a rear main seal. Which we have, again, video on a rear main seal as well. But the trick Hubbard likes to do is he takes the pilot bearing. First, you remove the center section only. You don't have to remove the whole bearing, the outer shell. Once the bearing portion is removed from the race, you take the appropriate socket and you pull the new one up to the old one, and you drive the new bearing assembly into the existing race. Saves you a little bit of time, because these really don't go bad or show signs of wear. And if they do, well, you've probably got a bigger problem on your hand. In this particular McLeod kit, they gave us a solid pilot bearing. We weren't sure why, right, Hubbard? They just said, kind of, here you go, old school. The one we went with, I think Ford Racing calls it a high load pilot bearing. They have two different options. The non-high load, I think, doesn't have hardened bearing or hardened needles in the assembly, but we have that information on the product page. Cleaned up the spacer plates, We got the new Ford flywheel in, the McLeod Street Pro clutch, and the pressure plate, and because of the dowel pin size, had to enlarge those slightly to fit into place. Okay, so we were actually nerding out a little bit more on these diaphragm springs, but on behalf of this clutch, the McLeod Street Pro, this is going to differ from clutch manufacturer to clutch manufacturer. They give you a slave cylinder spacer. You have to run that in this particular application because of the height of the diaphragm springs. We were looking at the pressure plate that was removed from the car, and you notice the different trajectory and different position on this particular pressure plate. They're a little bit higher, so no slave cylinder spacer was needed. The fingers on the McLeod pressure plate sit a little bit lower or closer to the crankshaft, so you have to run the spacer that McLeod includes in order for the throwout bearing to operate in its correct range. Another little trick that Hubbard likes to do with the slave cylinder, you paint the face of the slave cylinder that contacts the diaphragm spring or the fingers on the pressure plate. That's going to tell you if any of those are higher or lower. And if that is the case, you would want to straighten all those out. You want even contact from the slave cylinder to the diaphragm springs, because if not, you'll create some chatter because springs are compressing differently than the other springs. And then prior to installing and bolting the new slave cylinder to the transmission, Hubbard did bench bleed this. Another one of those where we have a video on. We'll leave a link to it in the description. The one last thing I wanted to talk about before we get everything back together is a hydraulic clutch line. This is the SVE stainless version. We sell a ton of these. We have them in a lot of our manual equipped S550 Mustangs. Great upgrade with a plastic factory line. We have an installation video on this, and kind of the one thing Hubbard always makes note of for these hydraulic lines is you want a clean, nice transition throughout the entire line. You do not want to create a high spot. So, you know, you'll have it kind of coming out here, and then it's going to kind of snake down to where it connects to the transmission. But you don't want to bunch this up because you're going to want this away from heat. You're going to want this away from your shorty or long tube header. But when you do that and you start zip tying or doing some cable management, hose management, you don't want to come up here and do kind of like one of these numbers. You just want to have a nice clean transition from point A to point B. Lubricate your O-rings. Another tip with the hydraulic clutch line is if it is close, like you've already got it as far away that you can get it from shorty header or long tube header, if you still feel like it's a little too close, you can wrap it with some heat protective tape or sleeve. Okay, so now we are messing with the Barton shifter. Hubbard's kind of been mocking it up. He's been referencing Barton's video, which we recommend you do the same. They're the experts on the shifter. After all, they designed, engineered, and built it. That video is on the product page for this shifter on lmr.com. But some cool things you want to make note of on this particular shifter that jump out at us is the two ways you can mount it. You can mount it to the transmission itself, or you can use the traditional factory style method of the two-post brackets. In the situation of performance, if you wanted to categorize it as this, one of the common hiccups on the factory setup is the torsional aspect of the driveline in relation to the body. Your transmission is secured to the body, so transmission is trying to rotate, body is not. So, you know, maybe some second to third shift action. Third is kind of, could be difficult to get into. It's been a common thing within the Coyote platform, especially in like the 11 to 14 cars. So we're setting Aiden up with the mounts on the transmission itself. On the handle assembly, you're gonna have some centering springs. There's springs already installed into the shifter itself. They do provide you 2 extra springs that could go down here into the lower shifter assembly, whatever you want to call this. And this is going to allow for a quicker return back to center. But Hubbard made a good point, is when you're going from second to third, you know, you just want to be able to go push straight up, especially if under a wide open throttle run, be it drag strip or you know, road racing, autocross in the car. You don't want to have to be searching around for your gear. You're wasting time. So you possibly are going to have to play around with that to see if you like it. So we have the transmission out of the car. Obviously, we're doing a clutch and all that good stuff. If you're watching this and you're going the shifter route, you're going to be doing it with the transmission in the car. You do have access with these particular springs inside of the car, so if you wanted to play around with it and see what you like, you can definitely do that before you bolt everything back up on the inside of the car. O-rings here on the handle bushing, you want to lubricate these with some sort of like dielectric grease, something like that, O-ring specific lubricant. You just don't want to have no lubricant because that's not good for O-rings. Yeah, there's a lot of O-rings. Hubbard was kind of playing around with this, looking at it, studying it. And yeah, what were you saying that? Because of driveline harmonics, you have a buffer between metal on metal, so that's gonna prevent some NVH.
There's O-rings where this slides into here.
Oh, wow.
There's O-rings in between each bolt and nut, and in the sides. There's a groove on the side. So when they sandwich it on the side,
yeah,
it's actually
pretty impressive. Well built, well built. So you get what you pay
right
for.
Here, there's an O-ring between this piece and this piece.
That's nice. Attention to detail. You know, you're buying a quality part. Barton, they make really good shifters. There's options out there on the market. You know, we've always have had Barton here at LMR.com. We've had a few other shifters as well. We ran a Barton handle in our 2015 Mustang GT for several years. Road race that car a lot. Several HPDE events a year, and I really like just the handle in that particular car. So I can only imagine how this setup is going to drive in Aiden's car. Everything is going together pretty easy. I know I say that because we're working on a lift and stuff like that, but if you can get the car high enough at home, you have the right set of tools, and of course the knowledge. You know, this stuff can be done on jack stands. No, it isn't easy, but it's a labor of love. Time to get this transmission buttoned up, get it back to the car. We'll tidy up everything on the inside, and then take it for a test drive. Yeah, and is this your first Mustang?
Before this, I had a 07 GT.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So going from the Tremec in that to the sloppy MT82 was definitely a big difference. Whenever I first started driving this car, I actually thought I broke it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. It was just so sloppy.
Yeah. No, you're right. Those MT82s, especially in 11 to 14, were really bad. I don't know if you ever driven one of those cars.
Yeah, my buddy
shifter.
has one of those.
Yeah, those shifters in those cars are pretty.
They kind of upgraded a little
loose.
bit, but
yeah,
I just had to get a short throw shifter.
Yeah, you picked a good one, especially the ones that mount to the transmission case instead of the body.
That should have been my first thing I did. So I really didn't enjoy driving this for a while. It was just so sloppy, I guess.
So the clutch you had in the car, you didn't really know what was in it, right?
No, I bought the car about in February, and I didn't know much about it. All I knew is that it had a tune on it, and that's all I knew. So.
But you said there was something about going in reverse or something?
It was so much chatter.
Chatter, I got you, yeah.
When literally every time you go in reverse and you would ease off the clutch a little bit, the entire car would shake, you would shake. It was just overall not a good experience. That's what's legitimately made me mad about the whole car. Especially starting off in first too, it gave you a little chatter, so it would just make me upset.
Which we kind of learned why I did that by investigation of taking the existing clutch out, and it had the dual friction material, you know, with the puck side and then the more traditional, smaller organic face side that you would find on a factory clutch. So that puck style configuration can really cause some chatter. But the clutch you went back in with, obviously, you're not going to have any problems with it chattering. It's kind of in line with an OE clutch.
I kind of wanted just a little bit of an upgrade, but not too much. You know, not like a 700 horsepower ready clutch. Yeah. Somewhat close to stock, but not stock. You know, just so I could rip on a little bit when I want to and have it hold up on me.
Right. No, you did good, and you know, you timed it right too. For those of you watching, Aiden, of course, clutch, short throw shifter. Make your parts list when you do this type of stuff. Go through the category on the website. Think of everything you want to do while you have all this stuff apart, because these type of short throw shifters and these S550s, it's a heck of a lot easier to remove the existing shifter and then install your aftermarket one with the transmission out of the car. It can still be done with transmission in the car, but it's not fun. Doing clutch work anyway isn't fun unless you like it. So, so think of all that stuff. We did a hydraulic clutch line, the whole 9 yards. So I mean, Aiden's pretty much, you know, ready to go for quite a long time.
Yeah, whenever I was getting all this stuff, I just thought, you know, if I'm going down there and they're removing all of it, I might as well just get all of it while I was down there and the transmission's out. So I think it's worth it to just spend the extra money right now and just get it done and enjoy the car while you can.
Overall, I mean, you happy with everything on your part selection?
Oh, extremely.
Yeah, it's always a good feeling whenever you spend your hard-earned money, pick out the parts you want, and then it all comes together and knocks your socks off.
Yeah, it's made the car very fun to drive again. You know, like I said before, I just wasn't having fun with it. Honestly, was debating on just getting rid of it, but you know, I thought might as well just put some money into it, see what can happen, and just see if it can make it fun for me again.
Yeah,
and it has.
Yeah, that's good. Make it yours. Any future plans?
Probably once I get it everywhere I want to cosmetic-wise, I think I'm going to get a Boss 302 intake, probably some long tube headers, you know, just a full bolts on, you know, Lund tune.
Yeah.
Just to make a little bit more power.
Oh yeah, tried and true NA stuff.
I don't think I want to boost it, but I think full bolts on would be where I would want to be at. And then I think once I get there, I'll be happy with the car and I could just kind of calm down and enjoy it.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I've always said boost fixes a lot of things just because I've driven and have liked a lot of boosted vehicles, but the repeatability of naturally aspirated power in cars, it's hard to beat. You drive around in Sport Plus?
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah, same. When I'm in the yellow car, I usually do Sport Plus. I don't know, it may just be a placebo thing, but I feel like it's a little more peppy than track mode.
So I need to change my VCT solenoids.
You got to check engine light for them, or?
No.
You just want to change them just because?
Well, it hasn't done it in a while, but sometimes at idle it would just randomly die.
Oh yeah, that's a VCT issue.
And I literally changed everything, like clean throttle body, mass airflow sensor, spark plugs, everything. And I just went searching and it said VCT solenoid.
While you're there, might as well bug. You can put the aluminum GT500 cool covers on there.
Really?
Or valve covers, because you got to pull those off to service them anyway. Man, this feels really good. I mean, granted, we're just putting around, but
yeah, it's really notchy. That's what I really like about it. Like before, especially from 4th to 5th, it would take me such a long time.
Oh yeah, man, feels like forever. And see, you're coming from what you said, an 07?
Yep, an 07 Mustang GT.
It had a short throw, or no? It had a stock shifter.
No, it had a short throw. It was.
Did you ever have it with the stock shifter?
No.
Oh, those are bad.
Really?
Oh, you're talking about loose? A stock 05, 09, 2010 maybe in the same way, but those TR3650s, oh man, I think those are some of the worst ones in stock trim.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have known the last name.
Yeah, that second to third is really nice with the weighted knob and the short throw shifter. That's nice, man. You got your setup.
Anything else you'd recommend?
Other than what you have plans from your naturally aspirated stuff, Boss manifold, long tube headers. I mean, you can start. You know what suspension's on it?
I have Coney yellows with progressive Steeda shock springs.
Yeah, okay, so that's kind of dialed in. Stop the hop stuff, or all the IRS like Steeda cradle stuff. You can kind of start nickel and diamond with.
I was thinking of doing that.
For the sake of the yellow car, that car doesn't have any of that on there. It has, now granted, it would probably benefit the car for how we use it, but for you, manual, it does alleviate and help with a little bit of wheel hop, from a hard launch out of the hole. But gosh, man, jacking rails, if you plan on, working on it in your garage, to get the car up easy, a set of jacking rails is always a must. Oil separator, if you hadn't done that.
Yeah, I have a catch can.
Catch can, you got the same thing. So it sounds like it's all there and gonna be there.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about this stuff. I think that's why we get hooked, because you're always chasing.
I was thinking, what can I do next?
Yeah. Well, Aiden, you got anything else you wanted to chime in on? Appreciate you letting us work on your car and zip it up the road and get a little feedback on the parts we put on it.
Yeah, no problem. I don't have anything much else to say. I appreciate y'all. It's definitely worth the wait. Love the car. Appreciate it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, appreciate everybody watching. If y'all find value in what we're doing, please consider liking the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and then till we see the next one, for all things S550, keep it right here with the Real Enthusiasts, LMR.com.